Do you ever think about the genetic mystery held by Africans around the world when geochemists study the origin of Chinese and Japanese people? A Chinese geochemist, Sun Weiyong, referenced Sima Qian's description of the Xia Empire, that is China's founding dynasty, 2070 to 1600 BC, in 2016, noting a northward flowing river unlike the Yellow River. This unique detail points to the Nile when hinting at ancient connections between Africa and Asia. Evidence advocates African influence in ancient civilizations, including Japan, where sarcophagus covers resemble Egyptian designs. This challenges the idea of zero contact between ancient Japan and Egypt. African contributions to the culture, religion, architecture, and science are visible across Asia, shaping civilizations like China. These findings highlight the global reach of African civilizations, often overlooked in history. In the 1990s, Professor Sun Weiyong discovered that ancient Chinese bronzes had a chemical composition matching Egyptian, not Chinese, ores. This suggests China's Bronze Age technology originated in Egypt, not the Silk Road. Sun Weiyong, geochemist, argued that China's early civilization was seeded by Egyptian migrants, challenging traditional narratives. Beyond metallurgy, metalwork, African influence extended to writing, religion, and culture, reaching as far as Japan. Linguistic and cultural parallels between ancient Egyptian and Japanese languages, such as the word for house, ka in Egyptian, minka in Japanese, point to a shared heritage. Additionally, identical sarcophagus covers in Japan and Egypt, along with genetic links between Nigeria's Edo people and the Japanese, further support the theory of ancient African influence. These findings reveal the far-reaching impact of African civilizations across Asia. Evidence suggests the Edo people of Nigeria, known for building the Great Wall of Benin, also colonized Japan, who showcase their advanced seafaring skills. Opposing mainstream narratives, Chinese historians reveal that Africa seeded key Chinese dynasties. The Xia dynasty, which sparked China's Bronze Age, and the Shang dynasty, which shaped ancient Chinese culture, were both founded by Africans. Shang artifacts depict Africans with distinct traits, such as broad noses and high cheekbones were seen in jade statuettes and bronze works. Chinese texts also reference black people like Emperor Xiao's mother, Li Lingrong, described as tall and black. These findings underscore Africa's far-reaching influence on global civilizations. In ancient China, before the Zhou dynasty, skeletal remains of Negroid populations have been found across the regions like Shandong, Yunnan, and the Pearl River Delta. These findings, linked to the Dawenkou and Taosi cultures, reveal that Africoid people were dominant in early Chinese history. The term Li Min, used by the Zhou dynasty to describe China's founders, translates to black-headed people, echoing the Sumerian term Saggiga. Early Shang dynasty rulers also bore titles like Jiang Wang, Black King, and Jiang Di, Black Emperor, further highlighting African origins. Genetic and cultural evidence, including similarities between Chinese characters and Egyptian hieroglyphics, suggests African influence in China's early civilization. These findings challenge traditional narratives, revealing a deeper African legacy in shaping ancient Chinese culture. The similarities between ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and Chinese characters are striking, with some symbols nearly interchangeable, such as the logos for child. Both writing systems use logograms and can be written top to bottom, a rare feature shared with Egyptian hieroglyphics. This suggests a possible connection, possibly through African influence. Additionally, China's pyramid-building tradition, mummification practices, and sarcophagus burials mirror those of ancient Egypt. Over 100 pyramids in central China, some larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, indicate advanced knowledge and labor organization, likely influenced by African migrants. These cultural and architectural parallels highlight the profound impact of African civilizations on ancient China, from writing systems to burial traditions and beyond. Ancient Chinese beliefs about the afterlife closely mirrored those of ancient Egypt. Both cultures buried their dead with personal belongings, servants, and items like board games or chariots to aid the soul's journey. The Chinese also adopted practices like pyramid building, sarcophagus burials, and ancestor worship from the Nubio-Kemetic civilization. The Shang dynasty even followed African child naming conventions, naming children after weekdays, a tradition still seen in Ghana. Both civilizations shared similar lunar solar calendars and revered scribes and god kings. Ancient China's early civilization was shaped by three founding dynasties: the Xia, 1900–1700 BC, Shang, 1700–1050 BC, and Zhou. The Xia and Shang dynasties were founded by the Naqi, black people from the West, likely Africans, who introduced writing, pyramid building, and governance. This black civilization, spanning from the Sahara to Egypt, the Middle East, and even China and Japan, left behind skeletal remains, artistic depictions, and oral histories. Emperor Shang Tang, a ruler of the Naqi, established the Shang dynasty, credited with creating the I Ching, Book of Changes, and foundational social institutions. Evidence of Austerloids, Negrillo Negrito, and black rulers' cultural influence is also seen in Southeast Asia, where skeletal remains and depictions of Africoid figures suggest a widespread African presence. Even in China's Shaolin Monastery, paintings show African and Chinese monks training together, further highlighting this historical connection. By the early Holocene period, China's population included northern and southern groups, with the latter being of black or oceanic races. Around 2500 BC, Africoid people from the Mediterranean and West Africa entered China via India, as evidenced by skeletal remains in Shandong and Jiangsu. These findings coincide with the Old Kingdom of Egypt and its pyramid-building era. Ancient Chinese texts describe rulers of kingdoms like Champa and Lin Yi as having curly hair and black skin traits typical of Africans. Africoid skeletal remains have been found in regions like Yunnan, Sichuan, and the Pearl River Delta, indicating a significant black presence in northern China, which heavily influences its culture. French scholar Henri Imbert noted that early Chinese epics referenced Negrito types in southern China and nearby islands. Chinese literature, such as the Zhou Li, describes these black people as oily-skinned, with references persisting into the Tang dynasty. Folklore even mentions a black empress, Li, consort of Emperor Xiaowu, 373–397 AD. These accounts highlight the enduring African influence in ancient China. In ancient China, the presence of black people, referred to as Ngo or Kunlun, was significant, especially in regions like Yunnan and Cochin China. The Xia dynasty encountered these black inhabitants as early as 2116 BC, with records in the Zhou Li describing them along the Yellow River. These groups related to Tibetans often clashed with the Zhou dynasty. Professor Jin Li's genetic research confirmed that all Chinese people descend from African ancestors, highlighting the profound African influence on early Chinese civilization. Similarly, the Edo people of Nigeria share a striking connection with Japan, as the name Edo was also the former name of Tokyo, and the Edo Empire, 1603–1867, suggesting deeper historical ties between Africa and Asia. These findings underscore the widespread impact of African civilizations across the globe. A Nigerian student, Osazuwa, in Tokyo, discovered surprising cultural links between his Edo heritage and Japan. The Edo Empire, 1603–1867 in Japan, shared its name with Nigeria's Edo people. The title of its founder, Ieyasu, matched the title of Edo military commanders in Nigeria. Words like uki, moon, and door, greeting elders, were nearly identical in both cultures. This exchange revealed deep unexplored connections between African and Japanese histories, highlighting how removing racial biases uncovers fascinating shared narratives. Support for research into such hidden histories is crucial, as many truths remain locked behind academic paywalls.